defense, discipline, and honor. This is XMA, the world of extreme martial arts.
Watch Extreme Martial Arts, only on Fight Sports.
This is sick.
What are you getting us into?
See? It's easy.
Hey, trust me.
Oh my God, Max!
I'm not sure. How do we get down?
If anyone called 911, they'd be here by now. If you don't confront your fears, you are always going to be afraid.
Hunter, no! Hunter!
Fall.
Join us on Monday to Friday live at 12 p.m. for the TVWan News Update, bringing you the latest in local and regional news. The TVWan Midday News, Monday to Friday live at 12 p.m. on TVWan.
Hello, this is the Midday News. Thanks for joining us. Acting Police Commissioner and Controller of the State of Emergency, Donald Yamasombi, has announced the establishment of the National State of Emergency Call Center at the Marauta House at Waigani on Monday. Yamasombi said centers can call the SOE Call Center hotline number 1800500 to report any complaints relating to the recovery of stolen items or report an SOE-related concerns or crime. The controller said during the SOE period, members of the security forces, especially police and the PNGDF force, will be heavily engaged in the national state of emergency operations, so the people are given the assurance that someone will be there to attend to their calls. Prime Minister James Marape has assured public servants nationwide who collectively lost 7.3 million kina in payroll deductions last pay will be refunded in the next pay run schedule for the following week. The Prime Minister reassured the public servants that after the upcoming pay run, everything will return to normal.
Prime Minister James Marape assured the public servants across the country that their issue of pay cuts experienced in the first pay of 2024 is being looked at with detailed investigations into what took place. 7.3 million kina was taken out of the public servants' pay in the last pay, which resulted in security personnel protesting to Parliament that eventually led to the looting and burning of shops by opportunists in the city and some parts of the country. Prime Minister Marape assured the public servants that their pay will be reimbursed in the second pay run of the year, which is next week. Marape made this announcement following a meeting with suspended Finance Secretary Sam Penias, suspended Treasury Secretary Andrew Oaeke, and suspended Personal Management Secretary Tyus Sanson. Marape clarified that the problem was caused by the non-configuration of the 20,000 non-tax threshold, reverting back to the earlier 12,500 non-tax threshold, and not the implementation of the tax rebates as assumed by many people. Furthermore, Marape said he queried the suspended secretaries about the implementation of the dependency rebate during the meeting, to which they replied in the negative. He added that the dependency rebate has not been implemented as yet and has directed Treasury not to implement it until it is amended in the February session of Parliament. Susan Oreape, TV1 News.
With the school year approaching, grade 8 school leavers in Madang province can check their names at the Education Office of the grade 9 selection list. Acting Education Advisor John Ura has verified and approved the list. He is inviting parents and guardians to start checking and preparing their children for classes which resume on January 29, 2024. Last week, the Provincial Education Board endorsed the appointment of the teachers' posting for 2024. This will also be posted to the notice board this week. Teachers will resume a week before students. Mr. Ura said all positions have been reviewed with those that have left the province, the gap being noted, and those transferring along with the new graduates have been appointed, respectively.
We're going through changes. It's always good for our teachers who are the implementer of the policies. So they needed trainings and all those issues surrounding.
In regional news, the federal court has dismissed a high-stakes legal case against gas company Santos, allowing construction of its $5.7 billion Barossa gas pipeline to continue.
A massive offshore gas project back on track to begin production next year. The underwater pipeline from the Barossa gas field in the Timor Sea to export facilities in Darwin set to go ahead after a lengthy legal battle. With the federal court ruling, a group of Tiwi elders had not produced enough evidence of significant songlines in the pipeline's vicinity. In her findings, Justice Natalie Charlesworth concluded the evidence asserting that songlines relate to or extend into the area of sea country through which the pipeline will pass is insufficient. The 263-kilometre pipeline will start about 7 kilometres west of the Tiwi Islands and run underwater to Darwin, where it will be shipped as LNG to buyers in South Korea and Japan. A group of Tiwi Island elders challenged the project, claiming it could damage significant underwater cultural sites. Today, that challenge was dismissed.
We are very excited today that another hurdle for Santos has been removed, and they can get on with providing an energy source into the territory that is worth $6 billion to our economy.
Santos has welcomed the court's decision, while Australian Energy Producers has gone a step further, labelling the case against Santos as lawfare and calling for the removal of what they say are ambiguities in the offshore regulatory scheme. Meanwhile, the small group of Tiwi elders that brought the case say they are hurting from the loss, with the court ordering them to cover Santos's legal costs.
Nauru has announced it is severing diplomatic relations with Taiwan and will recognize China, becoming Taipei's first diplomatic ally to switch to Beijing following the weekend's presidential election. The Nauru government said on Monday that in the best interest of the country and its people, it was seeking full resumption of the diplomatic relations with China. China Foreign Ministry said the country appreciates and welcomes the Nauru government's decision to sever diplomatic ties with Taiwan. China claims Taiwan as its own territory with no right to state-to-state ties, a position Taiwan strongly disputes. Nauru's move leaves Taiwan with only 12 diplomatic allies. 3 new illicit psychoactive drugs have been discovered at Canberra's fixed-site pill test service Cantest.
The samples were thought to be MDMA, ketamine and Ritalin.
What we found was relatively similar compounds, but with a small structural difference.
Illicit drugs new to pill testing chemists as well as to the market.
We can't really say what these drugs would do to a person because we've never seen them before. Cantest
is the country's only permanent drug checking or pill testing site. The drug samples were assessed at its Canberra lab in June 2023. Just how widespread these or any other new drugs are can't be measured.
What we can do is give Canberrans and Territorians from the ACT a good idea of what's in their market. It's quite hard to extend that information to other jurisdictions.
There are renewed calls for pill testing to be made more widely available following a series of overdoses this month. Several people attending the Juicy Fest and Hard Mission musical festivals in Victoria were hospitalised after taking what's thought to be MDMA. Dr. Caldecott says data from the US shows a trend towards cheaper to produce imitations of illicit drugs like amphetamines, MDMA and ecstasy, a trend which appears to have arrived in Australia.
I think a lot of people who consume or purchase drugs are being sold a dud and potentially a dangerous dud.
The 3 samples analysed by CanTest were taken away by the clients. Whether they took the drugs, and if so, what their effect was, remains unknown.
In sports, the National Gaming Control Board IPATAS Cup competition will proceed with the finals without further delays, commencing this Thursday, 18th January to Saturday, 20th January 2024. NGCB IPATAS Cup competition manager Sam Coy said they are set to commence finals for Enga, Western Highlands and Southern Highlands provincial challenges this coming weekend. The Enga Challenge will be held for the first time at Kompiam District. The Western Highlands and Southern Highlands Games will be held at Kamil Rugby League Oval in Jiwaka and the Kui Wamp Nanga Oval in Mount Hagen on Friday 20th to Sunday 22nd of January 2024. The Gold Pass winners of the 3 challenges will be represent their respective provinces in the Western End finals in a week's time in Jiwaka. The games for the above 3 provincial challenges were scheduled for Friday, 12th to Sunday, 14th of January 2024. However, with the issues in Port Moresby and some provinces in the country, the games were postponed to this weekend. That wraps up the midday news update. Join us for more at 6 p.m.
It seems Miss Lily is truly in love.